Welcome. So, did you know that tomorrow there are actually 3 tracks? So I thought there were only 2 because today there's only 2 tracks. But there's a secret track tomorrow. And I'm going to spend half an hour now selling my workshop tomorrow on the 3rd track. So it's from 11 to 1. If you scroll to the right on your phone, you can see the secret track. Okay, now we got that out of the way. My name is Luxshan, and back in 2018, I found myself in the middle of a safe transformation. Anyone been through a safe transformation? Yeah? So just like you guys, I was depressed. I had to do some sort of therapy, and I was a product owner, so one of the good guys. And I grabbed hold of Mikkel, my partner in this thing, and he's a UXer, so he knows how to draw. He's a visual type, and I'm the agile nerd. And we made some comic strips and hung them up on the walls on coffee machines at the company where we worked. And people thought it was fun. We thought it was sad, but they thought it was fun. And then COVID hit, and we all went home, and then we published them on social media, and then the whole world could relate. That's really, really sad, right? And then we got addicted to the feedback and likes, and now we just make new strips weekly. So I'm going to show you some of the strips, and the point here is let's laugh at the stuff that doesn't work when going agile, so we can hopefully learn from it and improve it, right? I'll introduce myself, but the first thing that happens is that some sort of boss speaks. And I'm going to do 2 things now that you're never supposed to do. I'm going to read off of the screen, and then I use a font called Comic Sans. And you can't use that font in professional settings unless you're a school teacher or if you make comic strips. So forgive me, please. So the big boss says, I have good news for you, talking to the whole company here. Now is the time for us to become agile and embark on our agile journey. Have you tried this? Then someone, typically a developer, asks, we've been asking for this for years. What has changed? The manager says, I managed to convince executive management that once we become agile, we can finally start delivering the projects within initially agreed budget, timeline, and scope. This ain't never going to happen, right? This is a really bad reason to go agile. This is the iron triangle. When we do development, when we get wiser, no matter what you do, you're never going to meet all 3 of those as expected. So what we want to do in agile is actually keep the scope variable. And through transparency, we want to adjust the scope as we get wiser. So we still hold on to the timeline and the budget, but the scope changes as we learn stuff. Right? Right? Okay. Yeah, good. This is me. I'm the writer at this thing we got going on. I also have a real job. Well, real job. I'm an agile coach. Like, you know how it is, right? Worked at these different companies in these roles, this education, blah, blah, blah. My mission here is to expose what happens when agile meets reality. And if we do it in a fun way, I believe we can all improve our practices. Yeah? So, very proud to have 68,000 followers on LinkedIn. And if you don't think that's a big number, if you convert that into teenagers on TikTok, it approximates 68 million. So it's a big number. So, as Paul mentioned, published a couple of books. The first one I actually asked if this Agile book club would want to review, and they ignored me. Then I asked if they could review the second book, and then they talked about a whole different thing and asked me to come to a conference. So is it going to happen, Paul?
You're here.
Ignoring my question again. So, as with Paul, something is clearly not working. Okay? So when we try to go agile, something is not working. Okay? Let's talk about that stuff. So our approach with our comic strips is, if we laugh, then sometimes we reflect. Then hopefully we can improve. Yeah? You can even make it into like a little cycle, now that I think about it. We like cycles, right? Not those cycles, but those cycles, right? And this is what we're going to try tomorrow at 11 o'clock as well. So this is the process. Okay, so we're going to talk about different roles now. But the first thing that happens after the boss stands and says, we want to go agile, what is that? The following. He buys a lot of Scrum t-shirts, a lot of boxes of one-size-fits-all Scrum t-shirts. And they're kind of tight, right? Not just to me, but everyone. Some of the t-shirts even says safe on them, and they don't have the cut for the head, so I don't know what. So, and then the next thing is they hire a consultancy, right? They're too expensive, and they've never tried it before. So, but they sell some junior consultants and some senior consultants, and here they are. We're with the consultancy firm Agile BS, and here's our plan for your agile transformation. Can anyone tell me what does Agile BS stand for? Bullshit. Agile Business Solutions, yes? Yes. So, and you know them. Some of them are sitting here, I can see actually. They have different names. They're a global enterprise. They're in England. They're here in Krakow as well, I know. So, they continue. First, to really understand your organization, we'll observe and analyze your department for some time. Based on the analysis, we'll design and describe the transformation effort. Following, we'll implement the new agile processes. Lastly, we'll test how the transformation works and integrate it with the current processes across the organization. We expect the full transformation to take a couple of years. Do you get it? Why do companies take a waterfall approach to going agile? Okay, so here we have to remember, what do the consultancies want? They want to sell big transformations that equals a lot of hours and a lot of money. But maybe that's not the best thing to do for the organization. Maybe it could be taking an agile approach to going agile. So instead of going full-blown safe or less or whatever, let's try to identify the smallest value stream or product line and make that organization go agile, all the way from how they're funded to how they actually interact and deliver value to customers, and see if agile is actually something for you. Agile is not for everyone. It's not the truth for everyone, right? So let's take an agile approach to going agile instead of this huge big bang transformation is crazy. So they continue. Besides higher customer satisfaction, going agile generally also increases employee engagement. Yes, becoming part of self-managing teams is what will really make a difference. As you can see, it's on a PowerPoint, so it must be true. Developers say, well, we just want to code. Just tell us what to do and we'll figure out how. No, you're empowered and self-managing now. You can't waste your time coding. So one of the things developers and teams fear when going agile is that they're going to drown in meetings. And they are going to drown in meetings if you keep holding on to the old meetings as well. All the Scrum events, for instance, have a purpose. It's either to plan or to inspect, right? So besides those ceremonies or events, as they're called now, you don't really need other meetings, right? You have refinement. All these department meetings and status meetings, have someone else take those meetings, a project manager or someone. A product owner, not the whole team. So, talking about the manager. Right? What's the manager's role in Agile? It's really difficult. But here's what they do. So this manager has learned something about Scrum and Agile, and he's talking to his team. I really believe in empowering you guys as a Scrum team, and I fully support you in self-organizing. Using the right words, right? So don't ask me how to do things. I completely trust you all to make the right decisions in your daily work. Developer says, but since you don't really understand our architectural discussions and technical dilemmas, how would you make those decisions anyway? Come with me, Diego, I just made a different decision. So the technical decisions, managers don't know anything about technical stuff anyways, right? Maybe they used to be a developer and then they moved up and then they forgot everything useful. So what we want is to have the managers pass on the decisions that are not technical. For instance, prioritization, talking about removing impediments across the organization, reorganizing, stuff like that. We want that to be passed on as well, as appropriately as possible. Not everything should be passed on, but more than technical decisions, because the teams are already taking those decisions, right? Here's another manager. Come on, team, work faster, she says. The very intelligent, handsome Agile coach says, can I have a word with you? He explains, when we work Agile, we don't pressure our teams to run faster. It's not sustainable, motivational, nor the management approach that we want. Okay, the manager says, instead, we want to deliver more value frequently to the customer. Do you agree? Come on, team, add more value. Had to go. Yeah. So that's also a way of doing it. So what we have to teach our managers is, for instance, 100% utilization. Filling up your capacity 100% with work is not the way to go. You have to, is the sound okay? Yeah? You have to maybe 70 or 80%, all theory, right, shows that if you clog up your capacity, then something's gonna stop when unexpected stuff happens. So don't fill up your full sprint capacity, for instance, right? Leave around 30% for unforeseen stuff. You also do talk about this in Kanban as well. So this is a big manager. There are small managers and big. This is a big manager. It's going really well with our agile initiative. We can all be proud. A small manager says, we now have Scrum and Kanban teams running as agile release trains, but shouldn't we change as managers as well? Big manager says, you misunderstood something. Agile is all about teams. Since we're not part of teams, it's got nothing to do with us. Now on to something important, the annual budgeting process. Do you have an annual budgeting process? Yeah. So the managers, they only operate in the system they have, right? So if you have this waterfall-ish approach to funding stuff, it's really difficult being agile. But let's remember, these line managers, these middle managers, they're in a dilemma as well. They're standing here on the one side, they have the big boss saying, get in control. Then you have an agile team on the other side saying, empower us. Right? So who's going to shoot? Any managers here? Yeah. Poor you. Let's see who shoots first. So we can help management. Let's understand their actual reason for going agile. Right? If you're a consultancy, ask the management of your client, why is it you want to go agile? What do you expect? If it's the iron triangle, or efficiency, or speed, then it's probably not you're going to have some conflicts when the behavior needs to change, right? Going agile is not a smart way of delivering a project. It's a way of running your company, right? It's a way of delivering value continuously. It's a way of developing products. It's not just about delivering a project or a program and then move on to something else. Agree with management what empowerment means, right? So can the product owner actually decide on his or her own, or do they need to talk to a manager? Also clarify the responsibility split between management and the agile role. So if there's a conflict in the team, is it the Scrum Master or a line manager who takes that? There's no right answer. I guess there is, but you need to find your answer in your organization. Let's talk about Scrum Master. Who's a Scrum Master here? Yeah, wow, great. So what happens usually in many companies, if they have project managers, they put all the project managers in a room, and they say, now we're going to go agile. So there are no project managers anymore. Then they ask all this group of project managers, who likes products and who likes people? And those who like products become project managers, and those who think they like people become Scrum Masters. So, new Scrum Master says, as the start of our Scrum journey, we'll kick off today with this new morning meeting called the Daily Scrum. John, why don't you start? And John actually gets it, right? So, as our sprint goal is to create a service for retrieving historical data, I'm setting up a microservice template, but I'm stuck because, wait. The new Scrum Master stops John. I would like you to share how many hours you spent on that story so far and how many hours are remaining. I don't think we're supposed to, don't worry, as long as we're standing up, we're doing it right. So let's remember, the purpose of the daily Scrum is not to report on progress, it's on inspecting the progress towards the sprint goal, right? All Scrum events are for planning or inspecting. So this is for inspecting the plan you made for the sprint, and if anything is hindering it. Congrats with your new Scrum Master certification. How's it going with your team? Pretty good, the Scrum Master says. Even though we never have a sprint goal, the PO doesn't want sprint reviews, and the developers hate doing sprint retrospectives. I really feel we're getting into the agile spirit. So what are you doing? We agreed to call it Kanban. Some people even call it Scrumban, right? Then they're not doing one thing and they're not doing the other. So Kanban is a whole system, like this flow system, right? So you don't do Kanban just because Scrum is difficult. Figure out why Scrum is difficult. Why can't you lock down your scope for 2 weeks? Is it because your surroundings are very agile? Then Kanban could be the right approach, but don't do it just because Scrum is difficult. Scrum is difficult. That's the reason for this. So therefore, because Scrum is difficult, we need a Scrum Master. Like this, right? This is what the team needs. This guy. He's been to war. He has a tattoo and he even smokes. Is it still cool to smoke here? Yeah, no. Well, it's not cool anywhere, I guess. But what type of Scrum Master is it that management hires? Yeah. Now I'm offending people, I know, I can feel it. Sorry. But the Scrum Master role is a senior role. You don't just have to facilitate. Everybody thinks Scrum Master role is just about calling in for meetings. But there's a lot of psychology in it. It's also about coaching, change management, all these stances, right? Improvement, organizational stuff, all of this. And you need to lead a team of very senior, expensive developers. It's difficult coming straight out of school and doing this, right? If you haven't been part of a team before. You can get much value out of your Scrum Master. If you have good, mature Scrum Masters, you don't need agile coaches as well. It's not just about calling in for meetings. It's about moving the organization, serving the organization, and serving the team, okay? That's my point. I just see in Denmark, at least, many junior people being hired for Scrum Master roles, and then they wonder why agile fails. Yeah. So how can we help them? Educate the organization on the different stances for Scrum Master. I just mentioned them before. Empower the Scrum Master to look beyond the teams. In some organizations, Scrum Master is not allowed to look beyond the teams because we have agile coaches. But if an impediment spans across the organization, for instance, this team always has a dependency to data warehouse, then the Scrum Master could facilitate that this dependency goes away. You could also try to make a split where the Scrum Master actually develops the teams and has one-to-ones and one-to-manys talks with the team, and the line manager makes this possible for the Scrum Master, depending on the competencies, maturity, and skills of the Scrum Master. So, the developers. Any developers here? Yeah, okay, yeah, good. So, how can I help? The doctor asks the developer. It hurts when I turn my head, the poor developer says. And how long has this been going on? For the last couple of weeks, I think. Did anything significant happen that could have caused it? Yeah, the only other COBOL developer quit. So for those who don't get it, this is a bottleneck. Yeah? So he's a specialist. And this is also a risk that specialist Scrum Masters and the team itself should mitigate somehow. You can see that we do sometimes have specialists in our teams, right? We can't avoid that, but share their knowledge as much as possible. We can also have specialist teams that we're dependent on. Too often our other teams are dependent on you guys implementing changes in your platform before they can deliver their features. Your team is a bottleneck. This is a typical platform team, right? So, therefore, we'll disperse you all out into the other teams. So your capabilities will be built into all teams and the dependencies will disappear. Oh, sounds smart. A bit later, so manager asks Scrum Master, so how's it going with not waiting for the platform team? Well, the Scrum Master says, now the bottleneck is within our teams, right? So it's great that you split up a specialist group. It could be a legacy or a complicated subsystem team or whatever. You split them into all the other stream-aligned teams. Yeah, team topologies, yes. But then they don't magically share their knowledge. They just become a single man or woman silo. So let's facilitate that the knowledge is shared through mob programming, pair programming, and so on. So, manager talks to a product owner and the rest of the team. There's this epic that we need you guys to deliver. Cool, we'll look into it at our next refinement session. We estimate this epic to be a total of 21 story points, they say. I didn't ask you to estimate it. It's already been estimated by others a year ago. Well, their estimate isn't valid for our team. Only the ones who'll do the work should estimate it. Manager says, I don't care about principles. You have a budget of 80 hours to deliver the epic. They continue, but that's definitely not enough for us. Just create a bit of technical debt. Huh? That's the secret. Just create some technical debt. So let's remember that when we adjust the scope, you remember the iron triangle I talked about? So when we adjust the scope based on transparency, we don't reduce the quality, okay? We keep the quality still high or sufficient, and we reduce the scope. It should be a deliberate choice to create technical debt, but nobody's ever going to pay that back. And then our products end up looking like this, right? If you don't build in quality, the product owner is happy, customers might be happy for a while, but the developers are struggling. to keep this afloat. Yeah? And who's going to pay for just doing technical debt work? Nobody's going to pay for that. So get it in the estimates to start with, or have a dedicated budget for it, or fund in a whole different way. So what we just want is developers to talk to end users, right? So they can empathize with them. But sometimes the path is not straight. Sometimes it looks like this. And you know, some developers shouldn't talk to end users. You know who they are. So let's talk about a different role in the team. I'm so happy that both management and our customers understand the importance of working agile when our domain is so complex. Product owner agrees. Yes, moving away from the enormous requirement specification up front has really helped us adapt as we get wiser. Here comes Alan. Hi guys. Hi Alan. Where you been the last couple of weeks? Alan is the architect. At home making our target architecture here. Any architects here? Now you don't want to raise your hand, do you? Okay, so we get that the business requirements need to come in an agile discovery, flow-based way, but for some reason we don't do the same with the technical requirements, right? We still expect some architects to come with the truth, the technical truth and foundation, but that's not really possible because they're sitting up here. The teams are down there. So we want architects to be part of the teams, or the competency be spread with the teams, so they can create these evolutionary architectures. Yeah? And I'm going to talk more about that. So how can we help developers? Free them from as many meetings as possible. Urge them to share knowledge through social programming. Yeah, ask if they want to talk to end users, right? Some people you don't. How's the time? I'm confused if this is the right time. 5 minutes? Can I get 5 more? Yes. Can I get 5 minutes more? I'm just going to take over everything. Okay. Tomorrow at 11, I want you to work on this, the manager says. It's not really agile for a manager to tell us what to work on, the team says. A little later, the manager's back. I want you to work on this right away. For those who think the screen is a bit too small, he's wearing a PO cap. So sometimes we just pass on product accountability to people with people accountability. It must be the same, right? So if you have a manager who's also a PO or a product manager, they're going to be very busy. It's a dedicated role. Yes? It's so great to have someone from the business take up the PO role, the Scrum Master says. Yes, I'm also really happy to get closer to you guys. It's all about bridging the gap between the business and you engineers so we can become one team, the PO says. He's from the business, right? Great, let's get started. Of course, developer has a question. Should we prepare our backend for future vertical scaling, or should our focus rather be on normalizing the data for improving the performance? Yeah, and we're missing some non-functional requirements. And what the business PO here is yeah. What the hell are they talking about? Right? So this is not his fault. That's just his background, right? So we need to urge our developers to speak in human language. What does this mean for end users, for the product performance, and so on? Don't ask stuff like that if the PO is not technical. So it seems that we can only deliver one of the 2 stories we expected this sprint. So we just follow the backlog priority and take the top one. Developer asks the PO. PO says, let me get back to you on that. He asks his boss, should we prioritize this story or that story? Let me get back to you on that. He asks his boss, should we prioritize this story or that? What's the story? We reach the level where they don't know what's going on. So he goes back, no, please take the next one in the backlog. Okay, how come? Let me get back to you on that. So if the product owner is not empowered to take their own decisions, you don't really need him. The most important role, in my view, in all this agile stuff is a product owner. An empowered product owner can enable agility with the team, and they can move in the right direction swiftly, right? If they have to ask 5 people first, it's going to take some time. And this next one is how I actually felt when I was a product owner in this enterprise earlier. So could you add a view of the historical performance to the application, a customer asks. PO says, great suggestion. Let me talk to my immediate internal stakeholder group and get back to you. And there he is. Right? Galactically big. So sometimes it can feel like this, but you can use interest power matrices and so on to I think it's on the other room, actually I should have said this, but to categorize your stakeholders so you don't have to talk to all of them. And the reason many people become product owners is because they like the discovery part. Let's figure out what new stuff to do. That's why I became a product owner, at least. But what I soon realized is that sometimes product discovery looks like this. Yeah. It's already been defined what to do, right? So just do it. So what we want to do is keep the requirement specification at a very high level, maybe a capability level, so there is some discovery that's not just technical, but also business-wise, together with UXs, together with end users, and so on. So how can we help the POs? I'm just going to go fast about this. Are there any product owners here? Why are you not in the other room? I shouldn't be mad with you, actually. I should be mad with those guys. Tell them about tomorrow, okay? So who's in a scaled agile setup right now? Yeah, the rest just don't know it, right? Okay. So here's the internal agile coach. I'm speeding up. Based on my observations, interviews, and metadata from deployment pipelines from numerous teams, I strongly suggest that we invest in removing our dependencies to accelerate our team's delivery of value. Okay? Management group says, you're too ideological. That might work in theory, but this is real life. Then an external agile consultant comes by. You have many dependencies. You need safe. Take our money. So let's figure out why we want to scale our agile practices. If it's because we have dependencies, why don't we invest in removing the dependencies instead of investing in managing them, right? There could be good reasons to manage them, but try to invest in removing the root cause instead of treating the symptoms. Also, I hope the market doesn't require us to turn. How agile is a train? I don't know. But let's remember, it's not the train that's not agile, it's actually the tracks, right? So make sure to not commit your roadmaps. A roadmap cannot be committed to. It's always a forecast, right? But don't commit to anything all the way out into the horizon. I like the increased focus on flow in SAFe 6.0. Anyone running SAFe? Yeah? 6.0, okay. In particular, I like that they made flow an explicit part of the SAFe principles. And this is true. It's the sixth principle. Especially the 8 flow accelerators will get value delivery going. You know what would really accelerate flow? What? Breaking dependencies between teams and not having to run SAFe. Okay. So how can we help our scaled agile setup? It's okay to scale, right? But it's pretty expensive, right? So see it as a temporary step on your way and not making your default way of running your organization. It can create some good habits, but also create some bad habits. It's really expensive to scale, so look at how you can always descale eventually, right? Focus on removing dependencies. Assess whether the benefits of having all these PI plannings or big room plannings or whatever, does it outweigh the cost of doing it? So I'm finishing, last couple of 2 slides. You can go back, please. No, it's okay. This is how an organization typically looks. Then you zoom in a bit, and then you zoom in a bit more. Then you see an island, and this is the happy agile island. This is where agile works, right? So let's remember the pilot we make on agile, we want to make it across the organization, just not in one corner. It's easy to do it in digital or software, but do it across your value stream, right? Back to the first point. So I made a very scientific survey. I'm finishing. Why do organizations go agile? This is for you, Paul. Because their competitors do. A third of them answered. To better meet both the budget, timeline, and scope. We know that's not going to happen. To fool skilled people to come work for them. And good to see that didn't work here. So, to increase their value add through empowered teams that adapt. I hope that one is the real reason that gets bigger and bigger for going agile, because that's gonna happen. So, final slide. Using Scrum to become agile is a bit like using a scale to lose weight. I tried to do that, and obviously it didn't work. Okay, it shows you the state of how it's going. So all these blocked tasks you have, why are they blocked? Removing the reasons they're blocked is going to enable agility. Scrum is just going to show you that they're blocked. Okay? Summary. I don't have time for the summary. Join. Blah, blah, blah. Do some workshop. Management 3.0. Tomorrow at 11. Thank you for listening. Bye.